Hey everybody, welcome to the very first video on the Sawdust Society YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us here. Today I'm going to be unboxing and assembling a WEN model DC1300 Dust Collector. I wanted to show everybody what comes in the box, how it comes. It arrived on my doorstep just like this. We're going to open it up and put it together and give everybody a good look at what you're buying if you were looking to purchase this for yourself. So let's get right into it. So while we're getting to this, I'll just share that I've only recently, just really decided to get deep into woodworking, and that was kind of what caused me to create this channel. I've been on a little bit of a binge buying tools and equipment and working on building a little workshop in my garage here at home. Right now the garage is not completely set up, but that's because a lot of the items that I'm going to be unboxing and showing all of you on the channel over the next few days and weeks are items that I need before I go too far. First minor issue there, my light on my camera has gone out. So we're going to try this first video without it and we'll see how things look. Please comment down below if things are a little bit too dark. I'll make sure to get that corrected in my next video. I'll try and be a little more detailed about how things look as I pull them out of the box. As far as condition goes, scuffs, scrapes, scratches, dings, dents, all of that, I'll try and point those out because they may not be as obvious without a light on the camera. Alright, so here we go. We're in the box and got our base plate that this whole thing sits on. Pretty heavy duty actually, and it looks to be in excellent shape. No dings, dents, or scratches on that one. Set that off to the side for now. All right. Looks good. This looks actually really nice. I have to say my initial reaction to the quality is that it looks to be built pretty well. It's certainly a heavy box, but I was a little bit worried because originally I was looking at one of the Grizzly models, and I decided to go with the WEN to save just a little bit more money because there are so many things I need to purchase for the shop that you try and find ways to make a hobby workshop not cost an arm and a leg. This was one of the compromises I made. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the quality of the workmanship and the item itself. A couple more things to get out before I can get the blower itself. So some tubing here. This big old, must be the 4-inch. Set that off to the side. Got a box here with some stuff. Well, probably all the nuts, bolts, screws, everything that we need to assemble. Set that off to the side and open that up separately here in a moment. Piece of the bracket. It's really high quality steel. And I'm going to give you guys a a view of all of these things once they're laid out on the table, so you can get a nice up-close look at what you're going to be receiving if you choose to purchase this item. All right. Now this is very heavy. I do not want to drop it. A warning to everyone. Once you have all of the items you've seen taken out of the box so far, out of the box, underneath the last big piece of styrofoam that was separating all of those items, there are more parts in here. So just a warning, word of caution. I'm going to set this on the ground. Okay. So I can get this out of here. So this final piece here, when you take it out, underneath that are I believe these are the dust collection bag arms. You'll have to forgive me, I've done absolutely no research on how to put this together, but it looks pretty straightforward. I will be following the instructions because I've never done this before, and it's okay to follow instructions. All right, that's everything in the bag. The last three items are three more posts or poles that likely help support those dust collection bags. All right, we can get this out of here. We'll get into this box in just a few moments. Just want to give you all a glance of everything taken out of the box. This is what I believe you should be expecting for yourself. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into this box that was included inside of the bigger box. This. We have some metal straps. We have our casters. Those are really heavy. Seem to be pretty decent quality. They look good. Not 100% sure what this is going to go for. This is for a dust hose. This is made out of plastic, but it's pretty thick, very solid feeling plastic. We've got our instruction manual, which I did mention we will be following. No shame. It's always fun to figure out how things work, but sometimes it's better to just get the project done. Nuts and bolts. And our dust collection bag and the fabric bag that helps filter the dust. Fine particulates. Actually, really nice quality. Very happy with that. I've seen some reviews on some of these where they feel really stiff and they feel like they wouldn't catch very fine particulates. This feels great. This should do the trick. Set that off to the side. And these are just the dust collection. I think you just get one dust collection bag with it. And this is the bag that all the dust will actually end up in. And all right, just a couple more things inside that little box. We've got our Allen wrench and a couple of bolts that need that Allen wrench in one bag, and another bag of some more nuts and bolts. Alright. A little bit bigger nuts and bolts, a little bit smaller nuts and bolts. This one does also have an Allen wrench in it. This one does not. Now that the box is done being unpacked, I wanted to just share with you the inside of the manual where it tells you all of the various pieces and what they're actually called. So that questionable item that I mentioned earlier in the bag here, these are just some more hose clamps. That's all it is. So here you go. Here's the total parts list that you should expect in your box when you receive this item. That filter bag that I showed is a 5-micron filter bag, which is a pretty decent place to start for a new woodworker. All right, and here are our instructions. They're super straightforward. We're going to be putting the casters on the base and then attaching the motor assembly. We'll then be installing the outlet, which is that hard plastic piece that I mentioned earlier. Then we'll be installing the support poles to the base. Once the support poles are installed, we will be assembling the collector, which is the orange ring device that I showed you a moment ago. And then we install our upper support pole. That's what will support that white 5-micron bag. After that, we attach the hose to the hard plastic connector, and we run that to over to our collector. And then we've put the filter bags on and we are done. So there you have it. There are all of the instructions. Let's get right into it. All right, everybody. We're going to jump right into assemble the dust collector. And our first step is to assemble the casters. So I've placed our heavy base here. Got my casters. Give you a nice little up close of these so you can see the quality of what this will be rolling around on once it's in your own shop. It's a little, they turn nice. They are quite heavy. All right, we are back and we are going to be putting the nuts and bolts that hold the steel assembly onto the motor. These cannot possibly be the correct screws. Again, WEN did not describe how to attach this, so we are working off of, implied knowledge here. We're just trying to sort of work our way into which ones get used for this particular part of the process. And actually, it looks like there are exactly 4 of the longer versions of the same screw. So that must be what those 4 are for. see, the base is actually, these are actually screw holes. You screw them directly into the base, which is pretty awesome. That makes it nice and easy. So we are going screw washer right into the base. These just screw directly in. There is no nut that gets attached to the other side of this. The base itself is able to accept the screws. And again, we're going to tighten all this up as soon as it's kind of in position. And there we go. Those are all tightened down. We're going to go underneath the steel piece that we attached to the motor, tighten those up really quick, and then we're on to the next step. Alrighty, we're all tightened up. We're going to be on to the next step here. You are probably just in a pretty lengthy zoom while I got all those nuts and bolts tightened down. The next step, a little bit quicker. We're getting pretty close. Here we go. All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and put this heavy-duty plastic piece right here. That's where she goes. So our instruction is secure with M6 by 20 hex screws. That's the ones in the smaller bag. These ones here. So we'll go ahead and do that. It's a little bit interesting to me that the build quality for the rest of this dust collector seems to be top notch, but boy, some of these screws are just not machined really well. It's very difficult to thread some of these, especially when you're doing it upside down, basically. Picking up where I left off there, just snugging up these screws. All right, we're going to go ahead and work on the next step here, which is to put the support poles onto the base. These are all, well, I'll show you this pretty close here. See, it has like a little in. All of this in joint here needs to be facing inwards. These support poles are what will hold the dust collector itself to the unit. These thread right into the base. No nut needed, just the screw with the washer. So as I went to install the final support post, I noticed that it's a little bit bent. Should be able to straighten that out when we tighten it down though. Alright, next what we're going to do is we're going to get the actual dust collecting unit mounted to the poles that we have attached. So I'm going to grab that and the screws that hold it all together. to the step where we attach the hose to the unit. So we'll go ahead and spin this around for you. This goes just right from here. Right to here. Alright, and that's secured with a couple of hose clamps. And I've got one more to put on. I'm going to just give you a real close up here. Show you. When you take the screw out to loosen it and get it around your hose, you want to make sure you get it back in there in that exact configuration. Or you can just take the end off, I suppose. But again, like, see, so for someone who's new to this type of thing, someone who is has not put a dust collector together or worked with sort of PVC tubing with these types of connectors, you wouldn't have necessarily gone that exact immediate direction. It looks like it comes apart easy. The screw was barely threaded, so it appeared that that was the intent, but it turns out no. Really, the intent here was not as clear as I thought it was. That was much easier. So what we've learned here, everybody, is when you go to put the hose clamps on this hose section here, make sure you pull the hose off of the item, slide the clamp on over the hose, then slide the hose over where you're trying to connect it to. And as you can see, we are very nice. We are nice and tight now and fully connected. All right, we are about to enter the final step here, which is installing the filter bag and the collection. All right, next we're going to be throwing the collection bag collection bag. And one thing that the instructions note is that there are these black bag clips to help you while you are putting this on. So what you do is you go around, tuck the bag into each of these, and then come back while it's being held by just those before you have any dust in it, and secure it with the clamp, just like we did with the top filter bag. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Metal clips pull away. They are very tight. They are meant to help you get the bag secured. Not necessarily intended to be used for 100% support of the bag once in use. So make sure you are circling back around after the fact, putting that clip on. And I'll show you here in just a second. She's secure, and we are done. This was a bit of a challenge to put together. Ran into a few snags. I would say for someone a little bit more skilled and familiar with assembling a product like this, they might have had an easier time. For a beginner like myself, putting one of these together. A lot of the items used to put it together, like the hose clamps, are things I haven't used previously, so no experience with them, how they work, a little bit of a learning curve for that, but I would say anybody should be able to assemble this device if you can lift the motor. The motor itself is pretty heavy, probably around 30 pounds or so. So yeah, pretty happy with the quality overall. Few things that I would point out once again. Had some issues while attaching the hose grommet, the smaller screws, hex screws that are included with this unit. A lot of them, the machining of the screw seemed a bit off. They wouldn't thread through the nuts very easily, so I ended up actually having to thread the entire screw through a nut while not on the device, get those threads kind of positioned correctly, or sort of machined by going through the nut, and then I was able to put them on a little bit easier. The other thing I would say is the casters on this are of a lower quality. They do leave scuff marks on the floor if and mine aren't locked, and they're doing that. They don't turn as freely as you would like. I mean, you can see right now this unit is not locked down, and it doesn't like to move a whole lot. They do have a locking mechanism on the casters, so I would think that that behavior would only happen when that locking mechanism is engaged. Any other time, they should be able to move fairly freely. You can see it definitely does not move very freely. I should mention there is one final item. They have you install a handle on it. So go ahead and, very interesting, everybody. I realized at the end that there was one final step, and it is the last step that they tell you to do. And what it is they're telling you that you should attach the handle to the dust collector. Well, let me rotate this here for you. You can see right here there are two holes in the dust collector where the handle goes. It requires you to install it with these screws that are a little hex screw and a bolt on the inside of the dust collector. So you can see what the problem might be with that is we just spent 10 minutes putting our bags on, and then the very next step in the instructions is to put the handle on. Riddle me this, everybody. Don't we have to take the bag off to accomplish that? We do. Which is just quite strange. That's a very, very strange thing. Thankfully, the upper bag should come off here fairly easily. We can just pry this back. There is a lip inside of this, so it isn't going to be as simple as, oh, just reach down in there and grab it. Fully put together, handle attached. This is the WEN 1300 CFM Industrial Dust Collector, sold by wenproducts.com.